I want to make a suggestion to Google Maps, or really any sort of navigation software. So on Google Maps, I believe they have a choice. You can do shortest distance or shortest time, depending on the mode of transportation. And I believe at one point they had greenest route. So obviously the gas mileage you get will depend on your driving conditions, the slope, the kind of road you're on, and so on and so forth. I have a funny story about greenest route actually. When I was working on my PhD, I was living in a suburb of Rochester, New York, and I discovered there were two good routes to downtown. And I quickly discovered one of the routes used significantly less fuel. There was a problem though. The trade-off was that it was slightly more in terms of miles. And my classmate and I were debating which one was actually more economical, because obviously the miles cost something in your car as well. But then it dawned on me, if you're using less gasoline, shouldn't it do a lesser number on your car? It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Obviously the problem is that whoever you sell your car to can't see how you use the car, right? So it's a tricky situation. Do you actually save money, or are you scamming the person you're selling the car to, right? That becomes a tricky question, right? Now it got me thinking, if you can do greenest route, if you could do shortest route, if you could do avoiding tolls, what about avoiding left turns or avoiding tricky turns? I have a little bit of a trauma with left turns actually, which is what prompted me to record this video. I'm still trying to get my heart to stop beating. I was in an unfamiliar part of Ellensburg, Washington one time, and the GPS had asked me to turn left. And it's an uncontrolled left turn. So I waited for a gap in traffic, and I start turning, and there's a problem. There's a pedestrian who signals for me to stop, because I had already begun making the turn though, and he started crossing. And now I'm in a jam right now. Do I run him down, or do I get hit by the cars coming at me, obviously from my right? Yeah, I had I live out of my car off half the time, right? So I had my laptop on my passenger seat. I was frantically moving that to the back seat on the driver's side so it wouldn't be damaged, because I was totally expecting to be rammed by the cars coming at me. They were coming at full speed. They stopped, but they came at a speed that seemed like they were going to come into me. And after that, I really despise making turns like that. I actually, because my passenger seat was almost rammed, sometimes I'll make a left turn when I'm driving by myself, but when I have somebody in the car, oh my god, I will not make a left turn. I will turn right 3 times to get out of that. Not long after that incident, I had a girlfriend, and she knew that I would turn. I would literally turn right 3 times we had a left turn just before to get to our home, and I told her about the situation. Now what was really funny was that driving by myself, I would make that turn without a problem. With her, I would make the 3 right turns, and she knew why. Now today, I was going to an unfamiliar part of Bellevue when the GPS once again said turn left, and Google Maps has a very peculiar way of saying left, and that word just caused my heart to race out of control. And I got to the turn, and it looked way too busy, and I decided to skip it and see what the GPS would say. Unfortunately, it recalculated a route without that problem, and that's good. But I'm so traumatized by it that I want to suggest to Google, how about no left turns or safest route? See, what it could do with safest route is some kind of statistical analysis on which roads have had the fewest accidents and incidents, and it will make a calculation of which route would minimize the risk of accident. Now the problem with that approach is that as more and more people use it, and they use the routes that are considered safest by Google, it might not be so safe anymore, and then Google will have to recalculate what the safest route will be, right? Eventually it might even be the ones that make the left turns, because nobody wants to do them anymore, right? So it'll be kind of a free market of risk, right?